50% of the subscription economy, 50% of the customers don't buy a second time within 90 days. And that's a huge number given all the CAC we spend, the customer acquisition we spend to try and get new customers. To lose half of them within 90 days, we're all about is trying to help create this new connection between a brand or a company and their customer around that product experience to assure you're going to get the repeat sales and retain your customers. If you could keep 30% more customers, you're just minting money and you're retaining those year after year after year. And so I think that's one of the reasons why BluStream is growing so fast, is because you can measure the economic revenue impact of retaining more customers and reducing churn.
So Ken, we end every episode by asking our guests to share what their recipe to revenue has been. So what's been your secret sauce to your success in this business? Hello, welcome back to Recipe to Revenue. I am here today with the CEO of BluStream, Ken Rapp. Ken, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I'm really excited to chat with you today because you're in a really interesting space in the e-commerce world. But first, let's start at the beginning. How would you describe BluStream to somebody who doesn't know about it?
I would say that BluStream is all about the post-sale product experience and helping customers create wonderful experiences around products. We've all been in the place where we receive a box on our doorstep and we bring it into our kitchen table, and then we might scratch our head and say, what am I supposed to do with this? Or you start to unbox it and get to a point where you're stuck. And BluStream has created an automated assistant that powers brands to create that delighted, we call it doorstep to delight around product unboxing and usage.
That's excellent. So how do you go about doing that in the unboxing experience? Is it through QR codes they scan? Is it through other electronic touch points? Tell us some more.
Yeah, so it can be any of the above. We typically will see if you're going to use a QR code, it can be in the box or a paper that's inviting a consumer to your VIP club or your concierge as a brand. Or it could be triggered, the journey, we call them, the product experience journey could be triggered right from a point of sale system like a Shopify or a WooCommerce or any number of triggers, we call them, from external systems can start a journey.
Yeah. So what inspired you to start BluStream? How did this all come about?
That's a great question. I'm a rock and roll guitarist, and it's a funny story because I know guitars and I know how to play a bit. And I got myself a new guitar, and I'd never had that brand before. And in a cold, dry New England winter, that guitar actually started to crack, and the body of the guitar cracked. And a friend of mine also had a similar experience, and we said, "Boy, why didn't the guitar talk to us? Why didn't it say, 'Hey, how experienced are you with our guitar brand, and how much do you play?'" And then say, "By the way, I'm a little worried about humidity or dryness this time of year in October, November. So keep an eye out on my humidity. Do you know how to measure the humidity of a guitar?" And I would have said no. And then it could have coached me through how to take care of that guitar. And that's the idea that spawned the idea was, wow, we all buy products that at one moment or another, we might go search on the internet for an answer. And wouldn't it be an amazing way to connect a brand with their customer around the product in the middle of the circle, rather than we all think of our customer in the center of the circle and the product as the next circle around them? And we said at BluStream, what if we put the product in the center and created a new channel to nurture a relationship for a brand and put the customer, the consumer, around the the product, which is in the center, and then teach the consumer about how that product works in different environments. For example, how often do you play, Ken? And I would have said, I probably play 3 or 4 hours a week. And that would change the next messaging to me versus a brand new player who maybe in elementary school is learning about instruments and they only play 5 or 10 minutes a day because they have to because it's part of their school curriculum. How could we nurture that student to become really excited about continuing on the journey of learning about musical
Mm,
instruments?
yeah.
So that's really where we've taken it to. We call it a product experience platform.
So are you looking at it then like the entire life cycle of the product? Like what is the from the time the consumer is like researching it to purchasing it and then like, that guitar could last 10 years, 20 years and what that relationship is like with the customer and that product going forward? Are you like how long is that cycle post purchase?
That's a great question because it ranges all over the map depending on the product.
Sure.
So, for example, a brand new guitar can be 10 years or even generational. It
Sure.
can
Yeah.
pass guitars on. And so there's an ongoing care and nurturing year after year that is part of the product experience journey for product ownership life cycle, to use your words. We actually call it life cycle. But if it was more of I'm renting a violin and I'm here for the next semester or two, then it's a question of what we call that unboxing to usage and care. That's what the journeys would be all about. And then another example is in, wellness and beauty products or
Yeah.
food and
They're more
beverage. So a
consumable.
supplement, yeah, consumable might be 30 days. And so in the first few days, if I've never had the supplement before, then I need a lot of guidance and care. And then when it's my fourth or fifth time buying that same supplement, maybe as a subscription, then I'm basically a pro and I have different needs. Like, for example, maybe I'm taking the supplements for diet. Maybe I'm taking the supplements because I want to run a 10K at the end of the summer. By engaging the consumer with automated dialogues, you ultimately, as a brand, can know why that customer is buying your product and using your product. And it's that usage data that provides incredible value when the dialogues are based on your usage, your consumer's usage of a product. So, for example, if you were being communicated and had dialogues going on with one of your favorite brands and they knew why you were taking that product, you become super loyal. And so we see the three real benefits of what we're doing is you see the consumers, we see over 90% of the customer consumers who start on a journey around the product nurturing stay. They stay for months, quarters, years because they really appreciate a relationship with the brand. And Leah, it's almost like when, back in the old days, I'm only 35 in here, but I'm not 35 anymore.
Yep.
Um, but in the old days, you could go to the corner store and have somebody who knew your name and knew why you were using products and give you that nurturing. Whereas now, with e-commerce, it's too easy to buy and compare products online.
Yeah, it's so
So
anonymous.
yeah, so anonymous. So we've moved the whole thinking to the post-sale product experience, the post-purchase. And now you can actually know, oh, Ken's taking supplements because he wants to run a 10K in September. And you can start to nurture that relationship with cross-sell. Maybe I should be taking some proteins that you have as a brand in addition to the supplement. Uh, maybe I want to have a special meal on a weekend with some desserts that are really packed with the right ingredients for me to be ready for my longer runs.
Right, yeah. That's so interesting, because as you're looking at, the relationship between the brand and the consumer, it also is making me think of, does the consumer then also want connection to a community that is also buying that product? And are you doing anything in that space to help the brands develop that wider community of people that are, in that post-purchase space?
That's also a great point, is that so we stay in our lane, which is all about creating a new channel, a retained consumer. We drive lifetime value. We drive churn out. We see a reduction in churn by 30 to 40% every day. We just, you no longer, it's almost like getting your best customers, adding to your best customers because you're able to nurture that along. And so, churn and increase in average order values of about 20% because you really know I'm going to be running a 10K. And so you can cross sell me and promote to me the right things. So we stay in our lane with what we call that product experience journey. But what we get from that process is the zero party data about the usage of your products that you can then use in systems or products like CRM or your ecom to improve the effectiveness and conversion rates pre-sale because you learn about all your customers and how they're using the product. You can move that upstream. And then after the sale, the customer support teams and the call centers, you'll start to see where there might be challenges in your products and how your customers are using the product by what tips they click on and how they answer questions. And so you actually can provide that data back to the downstream customer support systems to improve them as well,
Yeah, I was
including
having a conversation not too long ago with a client that does consulting in the manufacturing space, and we were talking about how far apart marketing and the engineering teams sit when they really do need to collaborate a lot more. And what you're saying is just so useful to get that consumer feedback back to the project development team of this is the problems, the challenges that people are having, that they can then create a better product going forward. What a great way to get that data back to the team.
Yeah, and to your point, so if there's social media and communities that a brand is working on, we can provide like-minded customers from the zero-party data back to create communities. There's lots of great community platforms. You don't need BluStream to do that, but what you don't have today, most brands don't have the data, exactly as you said. And I love your point, Leah. The product people, people of our clients are generally marketing, product, and support. And our product clients, the product management or the product strategy people, they love the zero party data about usage for lots of reasons. Like you said, to improve the R&D roadmap, maybe to create packages for anyone who's jogging more than 10 miles a week, also might need some waterproofing for their sneakers, et
Hmm.
cetera. So
Right.
it's great data to have.
Yeah, yeah, and even on the checking against your ideas of who you thought your customer personas were, and then doing that whole circle back to see how these who our customers actually are and what valuable data that is from the marketing messaging and targeting aspect of it. So
Perfect.
fantastic.
Yeah. And I'd say one of the places that's kind of fun is that there's a whole revolution going on in wellness today, and particularly even in beverages and using high impact drinks and beverages that are going to help improve health. But the funny part is, we all know of friends and family who are maybe trying supplements or trying new products. And I'll give you an example in the pet industry. One of our customers has a probiotic for pets. The problem is it doesn't work overnight. It takes about a couple weeks to get really ramped up in the pet's, system. And then that's when you really want to adjust the dosing and see how much to be providing to Daisy, your Springer Spaniel. And so there's a challenge there for brands where the consumer might get frustrated. And to date, what we do is we send out a, hey, will you leave us a 5-star review, or you want a coupon for another box of those, treats? And yet the customer isn't in alignment. They need more advocacy. before you can kind of continue on with the selling process. So it's actually a marvelous time to be helping your clients in this beverage. I think in the food and beverages, particularly in this time, we're all looking for ways to be healthier and improve our wellness.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's such a big space right now with the functional beverages, especially, and it being such a obviously a consumable product. There's that need is in the e-commerce space to continue to market for repurchases.
Yeah, and it's interesting. We've all invested in, CRMs to run campaigns and manage, customer bases, and we've got beautiful websites, and we've put e-commerce stores to work for us, and we track that product all the way to the doorstep with tracking systems and, connected. But then once that product, that box is on the doorstep, it's actually a huge void until maybe, if we're lucky, a customer who's frustrated calls our support line. That's if we're lucky, they call because we can fix them. And if we're not lucky, they might not call and they might be struggling. And the way we know that is because 50% of the subscription economy, 50% of the customers don't buy a second time within 90 days. And that's a huge number given all the CAC we spend, the customer acquisition we spend to try and get new customers, to lose half of them within 90 days. And if it's retail, it's closer to, lower than 30% by a second or third time. So what we're all about is trying to help create this new connection between a brand or a company and their customer around that product experience to assure you're going to get the repeat sales and retain your
Right.
customer.
What I've appreciated some brands I see starting to do now is give a little bit more flexibility on their subscriptions. Like, oh, do you want to push this out a week? Do you want to pause this month? There's as best as you can try in some cases. You can't get through the product in that 30 days and starts to pile up. So I think that they're listening to the customers. Better off to keep them and pause them a week than it is to have them unsubscribe.
100%. And there's actually some great tools that allow you to do that today. What they do is they ask you, are you ready for the next product? They're not engaging you around your lifestyle and why I call it the second why. The first why you bought the product was because you wanted the product. The second why is like, what's your lifestyle reason that you're using the product? So the usage question is where we'd come in and help even complement the systems that make it easier to change your next shipment.
Yeah. And are you seeing it being more effective to send those questions by text or by email or some other form?
We see SMS texting as the best, most engagement that you can get right now. Our engine at BluStream, the product experience engine, doesn't really mind. It's agnostic to whether it's an SMS communication tool, WhatsApp, could be email, could even be. We have a new internet messaging system that doesn't use phone numbers. Some of the wellness and supplement products can't use SMS and text messaging. They have to use a different vehicle. So we're using. We have a what we call a channel called Chat Stream, which is a stream over the internet that feels and looks just like text messaging, but it's actually running on the internet.
Right. So it's coming through like your phone as a notification.
A notification, and then just like a text message, when you click it, but the messaging is actually going on in our cloud on behalf for our client. So it's all branded by the ABC, beverage company that's providing some new, anxiety or sleep disorder support to their customer, and it's as if you've got, as a consumer, you have your own texting going on, but it's actually
Mhm.
not texting. It's actually
Yeah.
a messaging service going on over the internet.
Yeah. Excellent. Very cool. Can you tell us you know, uh, some instances of some companies you've worked with that have just really kind of nailed this whole post purchase experience that are just doing it well?
Oh, sure. There's several examples. I'll give you. I love music. I play guitar. That's where we started. So I'll start with one of those, and then I'll go to another one, maybe around some uh, products for the pet industry. Or yeah, so the first one, It's really interesting that you think back to when we were in elementary school and we were renting, a violin or a cello or a cornet or whatever it was, and then we really would lose interest. And the musical instrument rental business is big business. It's $500 a year, say on average $50 a month for 10 months per instrument rented, and yet they lose half those customers within the first couple semesters. And so what we found was by nurturing the relationship through the parents, helping the parent share some videos and share some tips and be excited with their their student, their children. It creates incredible stickiness. And so if you have, for every 1,000 renters that are $500 a year, if you're losing half of those renters, you got to make those up in the next semester. And what we found through this nurturing is that the product experience would just keep another 30 to 40% of those renters going, which is, at this point with our company, it's tens of thousands of little souls who are still playing music, and we're excited
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
But then you go all the way over to just simply unboxing products. So, for example, one of our customers was having trouble with the unboxing of their product. Consumers would buy it, they'd get it, and they wouldn't really be able to unbox it and understand what was happening as they got the result. So, uh, for example, if there was a little bit of knowledge and education that the brand wanted to give to the consumer, but they didn't have a vehicle to do that without the consumer coming to them first, we turned that around. And I'll give you a great stat. Um, in a journey, we call it a product experience journey, typically at about 30 days after the consumer has some nurturing and some education, never offering a coupon or trying to sell them anything, just give them 30 days with the product to fall in love with it. We would typically ask, how are you doing? And rather than asking them to leave a review beforehand, we would ask, how you doing? And in this particular example, 50% of their customers were not great after 30 days. 50% were great, and we simply said, well, great, here's a link to leave a review. Would you mind leaving a review? And they got great reviews. Out of the other 50% who were not doing well, we put those consumers onto simple dialogues that educated them on the results and the answers and the stage they were at with the product ownership. 95% of those consumers engaged in ongoing discussion and dialogues automatically to this company powered by BluStream, and the results were incredible. So I found that to be an amazing stat. If half of your customers you now know are not really getting to the end of that unboxing to leave you a 5-star review, and you can take corrective action automatically, you're just going to be way ahead of the game.
Yeah, it adds so much personalization to that experience, and like you said, the education of it, because if they're having a challenge, being proactive as the brand to reach out to them and help address the problem rather than wait for them to come to you is very powerful.
100%.
Yeah. Excellent. So, on the rental, let's just go back to the rental business for one moment, because I could see something like that. The students and the families that are renting these equipments have to take care of them. I'm sure there's some cleaning and things along the way. So are they using it to communicate messages like that, like, oh, you're halfway through your rental this year, it's a good time to give it a clean, something along those lines. And then the other thing I was thinking with families that have one kid playing an instrument. I mean, are they doing upsells in terms of the next kid in the family that may be interested in learning an instrument as well to keep it in the family? Are they doing the curious about the different types of messages they may be sending out through your platform?
Yeah, so great question. Our journeys really have three stages. The first stage is the unboxing or onboarding of a product, which we really view through 60 days of messaging, not just that day that the box is open, but 60 days to help transfer knowledge and learn. And we actually use the skill level and experience of the owner or renter to help drive which personal journey they're going to be on, which dialogues go. The second stage is what we call the usage stage, and that's to really understand how often the consumer is using the product. And that's a place where the cross sell and upsell becomes obvious. Hey, I'm jogging 10 miles a week, and I'm going to be uh, running in a 10K at the end of the summer. So maybe I do need some waterproofing because I want to keep on my routine, or I need some supplements and protein added to my diet. And then the last stage of the product ownership life cycle is what we call our care and maintenance stage. And right what you said, some products have a beautiful ongoing care need, like how humid is it outside or dry. And so I didn't know this, but you actually can buy things that will humidify your guitar by putting it in the case, a little sponge, you put some water in it, and once a month or you check on it, and it actually will keep your guitars at the right amount. And
Learn
so
something. Yeah.
yeah, so it's really unboxing, usage, and care are the three stages. And even in a an unboxing, just a digital unboxing, we have a beginning and an end. The beginning is actually prior to shipment. Because what if you needed batteries for that
Right.
new toy? Or what if you needed almond milk for that smoothie, right?
Sure.
So you actually post shipment is when you want to start that journey. And then throughout the 60 days of onboarding, at the end of that 60 days, we measure, are they ready for a 5-star review? If they're not, take corrective action. If they are, or when they are, they're a perfect referral and a perfect next sale candidate to get a repeat sale.
Tell me a little bit more about the makeup of your team. Do you have marketers on your team that are helping like map out all these messages? Or are you working with in-house teams that are feeding you some of the messages? What? How do you guys work like that?
So it's very, very, very light lift. We have tools that you can type in your brand name and a product name, and it will automatically provide you with a draft journey ready to go. You then make some edits. So you know, in an hour, you spend on some edits and put in your own links to make it look and sound like your voice as a brand, and then you're ready to start adding your contacts to it, your consumers.
Yeah, and so then the brand that you're working with, do they have access to like a dashboard that they can kind of see all this how it's kind of playing out then?
That's right. And so we do have customers that will invest. Um, they'll look at the dashboard, and our team is available to help take a look at things as training. And then you'll want us out of your way so that you can keep going. But you know, looking at the dashboard and learning about, oh boy, look at all the responses we got to these kinds of dialogues, and then amplifying that is some. So we have some customers who they're in it all the time and they're continuously spending time on it. And we have customers who, you know, set it and forget it, and it just keeps customers for
Mhm.
them, keeps
Yeah.
repeat customers for them.
So, do you have instances where you have clients come to you and they're trying to solve a particular issue? Like they've had their messaging going for a while, but they've, have a feeling that there's something off in their, some part of the cycle, and they come to you to help solve that.
Yeah, we're a little more proactive than that because we're monitoring all our clients, you know, and keep an eye on data. And I'll tell you, it's a funny story because the consumer feels like there's someone on the other end of the line, even though it's all automated in journeys. And so occasionally it's funny, we didn't expect it, but we started getting messages from consumers. Hey,
Uh-huh.
I have a question for you on the, you know,
Yeah.
such a-" and that was something that we didn't anticipate early on, but it's obvious now with, you know, with AI and some of the controlled large language model that you can use to either right away send that consumer to the support team or to sales, or try and ask a question or two automatically and then try and get them to their answer quickly. So,
Yeah.
but to your point, we keep an eye on the data. We have flags that we look for, and then we'll proactively get out in touch with one of our clients and help them improve, be more effective at the messaging and dialogues, which really creates that, like you said, a personal relationship post sale.
Yeah. Yeah. And, they may be seeing things on an industry like that may be changing in their industry or competitor changes they want to be ahead of too. Um, that may not come across in the interactions in that post sale survey yet, right? They want to get ahead of that kind of stuff.
See, I agree with you. I actually think that what this whole concept of post sale product experiences is a branding opportunity. It's
Absolutely. Yeah.
many customers of ours or clients of ours will call it, a concierge, the beverage concierge, or the a free VIP club where we're going to make sure you love our products, or a product assistant or something. So I really believe it's a marvelous branding opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's just I think people who are not doing it are doing their brands a disservice. They're just leaving so much out on the table by not participating in this wealth of knowledge and customer interaction that's they have access to. Um, I'm curious from your insights within this space for those that are listening to the podcast that may be deciding what e-commerce platform that they want to be on. Do you have a preference between Shopify or WooCommerce or another platform out there?
I think it depends on the business, depends on the product. Uh, I think BluStream's job is to be agnostic to that side of the house, the e-commerce platforms and the point of sale platforms, and I think they all have strengths, and so we really don't have a preference.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, depending on the product and if it's a consumer product or if it's a service, there's all and what their needs are again in terms of going back to that the point about creating community. We get a lot of clients that have some sort of service based business, maybe a subscription model, and then they want these portals where they can share additional resources. And, we're typically looking at something in WooCommerce to do that because we can create member areas. But that could be applicable to a consumer product too, but probably in a different platform, I would say.
Hmm. Yeah, our job is to provide the zero party data to allow a brand to do that, to make those decisions.
Mhm. Yeah, excellent. So I wanted to shift the conversation a little bit just to about business growth and partnerships. Partnerships are just such an important part of success for some businesses. What are some meaningful partnerships that you've used along the way to grow Bluestream? And what do you look for in a good partner?
Yeah, so I always like to start with common ground on the value that we're trying to build. Uh, I think from a concept standpoint, the partners that we work with really understand that after the sale is really when the relationship begins, and the pre-sale is so commoditized, unfortunately. I mean, you just go on. I ran this experiment where I went on and typed in, I need dog food, and I ended up with over 1 million hits
A little
on the
overwhelming. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so it really is the opportunity now to move the playing field to post sale. And so when we start from that perspective, that it's all about the consumer feeling connected and thinking about that brand as part of them. I had a consumer say to me, "Yeah, I buy that product, and I felt like I had another friend on my text messaging." And that's to me what it's all about. So as we look for partnerships and work with industry leaders out there, it's really all about that, trying to find a way to help brands and our collective clients, create a new special relationship after the sale. That's what we're all about. And, in the beverage industry, we love the IBC team. They're fantastic. We've been working now with them for, about 6 months, and they're just, stellar people, and that's what you want. You want high integrity, high value character, in the people you're going to work with. We spend so much time working, you may as well do it with people who
Or with
are,
people that you like to work with.
yeah, who are culturally aligned. I call it, culturally aligned, meaning, we have similar values and we're in it to help customers.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's such a, I think partnership marketing, especially, or just partnerships in general, kind of where we are economically in the world at this time, is like you just get such a bigger impact from those collaborations and bringing, like-minded folks together with their expertise, their networks, and it can help expedite things much faster. I think so. We love
Yeah,
partnerships. And IBC is a partner of the podcast, and helping us connect with great people in this space, and to help share the podcast with their networks as well. So we obviously believe in good partnerships too.
yeah, for sure. And I also find that our common clients actually have a lot of power in that relationship because they can pull together what might look like overlapping technologies. If they see how it works together, they can pull us into a room, and we should all want to help our clients win. That's the point.
Yeah, and with IBC, are you working with the brands that they are collaborating with to help them expedite their e-commerce journeys?
Yeah, that's what we've been talking with them about. We have a common client we've been talking with, and it's going extremely well. They're just wonderful. We're all together in terms of that cultural alignment, so it's fun.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that's excellent. Um, can you share, just thinking back again, I'd asked you about some good success stories, but what are some, and you don't have to name any brand names, but maybe just categorically out there, some instances where you think, oh, they just really dropped the ball on this experience, and what you would have done better for them if they had been working with you?
Oh, you mean in terms of in general, any kind of products that maybe in my life, or because that's a harder question for our customer base directly, because I don't know that we've had a lot of customers not succeed unless their business change, which happens. We have a couple of customers whose business actually changed, and they were pivoting. So that was a different story. But I think all of us, all of your listeners, I would hope, could be able to think of a time when they had a product that they purchased and just wish they could have had a little more help with getting that product online. Think of us as taking the product guides, the unboxing guides or the quick start guides, and making them into a human feeling dialogue to help your consumers get to I call it a 6-star review. It's the delight star is number 6. So yeah, I've certainly had some products like my guitar example where I love the brand and then I got the product and then, oh my gosh, I felt personally like I blew it. Like boy, it was on me that I didn't know that I was supposed to be nurturing that guitar and giving it moisture. And so I felt bad enough that I never even called that brand because I didn't want them to think I was a bad customer. But in the end, we ended up working with that
Oh,
brand, and
fantastic. Yeah,
yeah, we're
that's the awesome success story. Turned around and started collaborating with them.
started a whole company because of it. So yeah, it's
Wow.
really fun.
Did you have a background in e-commerce before you started this business?
I did not. I'm just a consumer. I'm a consumer that uses e-commerce like
Mhm.
everyone else.
Yeah,
Um,
amazing.
my background was over in life sciences, where I worked with companies to try and solve real problems that weren't being solved. So you might call me a serial entrepreneur, someone who looks for blue oceans. So meaning not a place where there's a lot of solutions, but a place where there's a problem that hasn't been solved, and it's just we all live with the problem because there's no solution. But once there's a solution, it's sort of like, whoa, that's a really important problem to solve. That's sort of what I've done in my career several times. And I had actually tried to rewire myself to more playing guitar and exercising, and that didn't cut it for me. I wanted to go back to do
Back to
something
the problem
meaningful.
solving.
Yeah, and that led me to meet the team that was working on guitars, and here we are today. That we're so excited and passionate to help connect companies to their customers through delightful product experiences.
So looking forward in the e-commerce space, what are some changes you may be foreseeing out there? We get a lot of people ask us about, they have their own website they're selling on, but should they also sell on Amazon? And should they push getting into retail stores? And just there's a lot of, like where else should I be? How else should I be connecting with, my customers? So where do you see e-commerce going in the next couple of years?
So I think e-commerce it is pervasive, but it's going to be even more pervasive. You have to have the ability to let your customer buy with a click and get your products delivered within days. It's table stakes, and we all it's an expectation now. Um, but I think where it's going is personalization. I think that you really pre-sale, we're doing a very good job of personalization. We help, if someone is clicking on this, we know they did, and so we can kind of get them to the right sale. But I think knowing more about the what's beautiful is most companies and brands, they have excellent information and content about their products. And so I think the future is to take that content and continue on the nurturing after the sale, because it's 10 times easier to keep a customer than it is to go buy or get a new one. And so, you know, I think e-commerce, the next step will extend into the after sale market. And again, what's beautiful is you've got most brands have all the content they need. What they need is a system that will allow them to provide that content at the exact right moment where the consumer wants to digest it and learn about it. And that's where I think it goes.
That's awesome. I could see so many uses for that. So definitely everybody keep that in mind as you're developing your brands and thinking about that customer journey. And is so true what you just said about the cost of new customer acquisition versus retention. That's, it is a little bit marketing 101, but I think people get so wrapped up into I need new customers, I need to grow. And then they don't think about how do I retain as much.
So let's circle back to that example. If you have a cohort of 1,000 customers that could be spending $500 a year on your products, and you lose half of them, and in transaction buying, it might even be you lose 70% who don't buy a third time. Out of 1,000 cohort, that's a $500,000 that you've lost $250,000 out of your pocket, and you have to go make that up again. Versus if you could keep 30% more customers, you're just minting money and you're retaining those year after year after year. And so I think that's one of the reasons why Bluestream is growing so fast, is because we are you can measure the economic revenue impact of retaining more customers and reducing churn and increasing the conversion rates on cross sell and upsell.
Yeah, I love that. That's incredible. So Ken, we end every episode by asking our guests to share what their recipe to revenue has been. So what's been your secret sauce to your success in this business?
It's 100% making sure we delight our clients. We make sure, and I think what I'm most proud of is we hear from um, every client. They just they tell me when they can that our team is amazing. Uh, we're really here with a this is an unmet need, as I said, a blue ocean. So it's on us to help be your journey guides through the process. And so we're here with education and blogs and knowledge and information, and our team to help clients, brands have this new extension of e-commerce into the post-sale world. And so, to me, I think what gets us revenue and keeps us with revenue coming back is my team.
Yeah. Team makes a big difference in everything, providing that six-star service that you talked about.
That's
Well, it's
right.
fantastic. We will put the links to your website and your social with the podcast. So everybody go check out Bluestream, and they can find Ken on LinkedIn. Ken, where else would you like people to connect with you? What's the best way?
I think you can feel free on LinkedIn, but I can give you my direct line is 508-525-0011. And like everyone else, I pay attention to my text messaging more than I do anything else. So, um, and really, Leah, it's interesting. In 10 minutes, I can have a quick chat with any of your audience who's interested in learning more and see how we might help them or not. If the product doesn't really need much guidance, if it's as I was talking with someone the other day about, a case of bottled water that I get, once a week. I know what I drink water for, so I just like to drink water all day. But, when it becomes maybe a beverage that it has a function to it that I'm expecting, or a product that's for me and my family to learn how to bake something, or whatever it is, then we can look at it in our journey builder, which I mentioned earlier. We can run a quick scan it takes one minute or less, and it will give us some recommendations on some dialogues that we're happy to just provide to the industry, so that you can see where you could engage your customer post sale.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Well, I definitely recommend everybody reach out to Ken to try that for your brands and see how it goes, because you could be growing your business a lot quicker with his services. Ken, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been great to chat with you. I learned so much.
Same here. Thank you. And it flew by from my side. So thank you. That
It
means it was
did.
great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ken. Talk to you soon.
Bye bye.